Hey folks, it's Charlie here with a Charlie in the Rain interview, and I'm so excited to be chatting with this artist who I've had on repeat. If you haven't had this artist on repeat, you are about to add them to your playlist. It's Bumpy. How are we doing today?
Good, thank you. I'm doing well. I'm having a nice slow morning, coffee in hand, and excited for my week.
Yes, honestly, that's the best state to be in right now. The sun is shining. We're all feeling so good. Would you like to start off this interview today by introducing yourself for anyone who's just getting into you, has never heard of you before, and is about to become your biggest fan?
Sure, I'm Bumpy. I'm a proud Noongar artist, but I was born on Kanana country and I'm now based in Nam. I'm also a broadcaster on Triple R community radio in Nam, Melbourne, and just love to have a silly old time.
Oh, I love it. I love having a silly old time, and we're gonna jump in. I don't think I've got many silly questions, but we can have a silly old time with it today because
So
I I am loving your energy through your music. I am loving your singles you've been putting out recently. And you've recently released a single that I genuinely cannot get enough of. I cannot listen to this song enough. It's called Feel Good. It makes me feel good and I've been loving it in my morning commutes. I mentioned before, whenever I get on the bus, I'm playing this song and loving it, soaking up the good vibes. It's just gorgeous. Can you tell us a bit about Feel Good? How did this song come about? What does it mean to you? All of that good stuff.
yeah, this song has actually been in the set for the longest time. It's always a really fun one to play live because I guess, obviously the sentiment is just about bringing it back to being present and
Mm.
grooving out together. But the actual story was written, I guess, after those hectic lockdowns that we don't want to talk about in and as soon as we could kind of leave our 5K radius, we jetted straight to the beach back to Gunai country where I grew up. And yeah, went straight there. We were like, we need to get around the fire. We need to settle in. And it was just the most beautiful day. And at
Mm.
sunset, we all went up to the top of the dune. And at that one moment, we saw the sun setting and the moon rising on either side. And so at the very beginning of that song, you kind of are hearing me narrating that exact moment that is
Mm.
happening. And then it kind of kicks into this jam. And so I guess it was just really acknowledging how beautiful it was that we had just been through all of this chaos, all of
Mm.
this unknown, but at that one moment we felt super present and everything around us kind of reminded us to bring it back to ourselves.
Mm. Oh, I love that. It's like you've bottled up this sort of magic that we're now all getting a part of through listening to this track. I don't know, it's genuinely some sort of magic experience. I love it.
That's
And
so nice.
it's such a thing. You've named the song Feel Good, and that's exactly what it makes you feel when you listen to it. It's I genuinely cannot get enough of this track. And that's good news for me because you have just released, by the time people are listening, just released your debut album. So we've got plenty
Yeah.
more where this is coming from. Can you just tell us a bit about this album? Start us off. Tell us everything we need to know.
All right, let's dig into it. This album is titled Kanana, which means in my language, in Noongar language, land where the sun sets.
Mm.
And a lot of these works I actually wrote as a part of a commission, being the First Nations artist in residence for the Melbourne International Jazz Festival and the Australian Art Orchestra. And had an amazing time, amazing 2 years working with that crew. But they actually, I guess, gave me access and funds and assisted me and my mom to go back Noongar country and visit my
Mm.
family and see language resources and kind of really visit in honor of my late nanny, Rose Whitehurst, who wrote the Noongar dictionary. And so it was just something that I just wanted to experience. I wanted to go on country, not for sorry business, not for
Mm.
a couple of days. I wanted to go with the full purpose to visit and learn more and just share stories. And especially with my mum, seeing how place activates so many stories, and maybe I would never have learnt them if I wasn't there with her. So we went like nearby where she grew up on the mission. We went down South Coast, like it was all the West South Coast. And then I kind of got back to Nam and I was like, oh man, like how do I write a whole show about this experience? How do you put all of this together? Because you're obviously navigating so much grief and you're navigating joy, but you're navigating a lot, you know, with every uncovering that you find, it's wrapped up in heaviness, because of, you know, this country's history, but also this beauty that I get to access this and I get to share this with my family. I get to learn more about myself. So I kind of, yeah, it took me a really long time to process, and honestly, I'm still processing it. But I thought, well, let's just start writing about the experiences that happened. And, you know, all I can do is just like, I journaled while I was over there. So it has a really good reflective tool to go through it and figure out what stuck out to me. So yeah, a song like Mambakur, which is on the album, is about the first time that I went back in saltwater country, in the beautiful sea, and felt this like dramatic connection. Or, you know, each one is kind of like a little, there's some quotes there from elders in there, and this album just really speaks to that whole experience.
Yeah, I think that's like the most powerful thing is you're going back to country, you're going back to your roots where you grew up, like your whole story, and you're bringing that to a new audience through your music. I feel like I've been seeing that a lot with like we've had some really powerful First Nations releases this year, including Self have just released their album Breaking Into Heaven, where they took their stories from country overseas and then have brought them back to Australia. My favorite thing is you're getting to share this with people who might have not ever heard these stories or your experiences. And I feel like that's just such a powerful thing as a listener to be able to consume. What does it mean to you to be able to share these stories now? Like you package them into your music in such a gorgeous way. How does it feel to now share these with people who may have never been to this land, may have never heard these First Nation stories through
Mm.
music before? How does that feel to you?
It feels really special, obviously. Like, with this show, I was lucky to tour and go to present, at London International Jazz Festival, and then
Mm.
take it to Tokyo with the Australian Art Orchestra. So it was kind of my first-hand experience of sharing these stories and, figuring out how to describe my identity and my positioning in a whole other way. Like, yeah, so many people may not have even realized that black fellas were here, or didn't know like what it means to be Aboriginal in so-called Australia, didn't know what Noongar is. And I had to really like go back to the beginning and like understand and be like, well, you know, this is such a big opportunity for me, but also this is such a big opportunity to share light on this beautiful culture, on our beautiful stories and our history, and how important it is to have that awareness for everything that's happened here. So not only like, yeah, I guess playing these shows live and having different people connect to them in their own other way, I guess having these songs and having recorded them, they get to exist forever now, and they get to become a part of that history of my story and the history of this country, and like, I guess, you know, continue that legacy that my nanny made. That like, this is kind of my way of helping pass on something, although I'm like at the very early beginnings of my, you know, language journey. It's like I still get to contribute something like that. So when I hear other people, you know, regardless of where they're from, but are on a journey of reconnection, or of wanting to deeper explore, you know, who they are or their connection, I think we can all relate to something like that. So it's always beautiful to share that space of vulnerability and allow other people to, open it up and explore themselves.
Ah, oh, that you've said that so beautifully. I love that. Thank you so much for
Thanks.
sharing that, because this is like a big journey of sharing for you. Getting to that debut album is like a massive step in the career of every artist ever. Could you talk us a bit through your journey with music, through like the art space to now get to this point of the debut album? And how does it feel to be standing here with that debut body of work, sharing it to the world, like, well, we're about a week or so away from that point of sharing it with the world. How does it feel to have gone through this journey and be standing here with that body of work to look back on forever now as that first full body?
It's exciting. I mean, I've always just wanted to hold the LP in my hands and be like, this is my little baby. And just going out in the world. Like, I'm so excited to hold that record. It's always just been one of the dreams, and like the amount of work that goes into something like this, as well as, not just bringing it together and arranging and writing all the material, it's the actual experience. And people put so much pressure on artists to pump out content, to pump out songs, but we actually have to live this experience to write about it. And it's really important that we take that space and time to like recollect ourselves and
Yeah.
understand what kind of thing we want to be putting out. So it feels really special. I mean, I worked with a few projects before I kind of started Bumpy, like with Squid Nebula, which is like my beautiful like funk disco family, and I worked with Brother Neil Morris in Dreaming Now, who also had Kian and DJ PGZ in the band, and really inspired by all of the people that I've collaborated with, and has been an amazing kind of journey working as Bumpy and, predominantly existing in the live world and gigging around. And now that I kind of have this body of work, I'm just really excited to, share my stories even further, but also kind of close the chapter to this experience and be like, okay, what are we writing next? Like, it just feels like a beautiful full circle.
Mm. Absolutely. And as you're saying, like you get to hold that in your hands. It's now going to be like it's a physical baby. You get to look at it and be like, I made this body of work. Oh,
I know,
I
I'm
love
so
that moment.
excited.
Honestly, like my
I know it's
favorite
going to be so
thing.
special.
Yes, my favorite thing is looking back, like, when an artist is out there releasing like their fifth, sixth, like, they're out there on their journey. They've released so many albums, but you look back to that first one, it's like, I know exactly who you are. I can see your growth through the music from this first album. And oh, it's just such a special thing. But in that, you were mentioning a lot of like working with like your community and like building up a community through music. One
Mhm.
of my favorite things about this album is that you've been working with this like 14-piece like group of some of the most powerful voices. You've dubbed this group the Bumpy Choir. I love this so much. Could you tell us a bit about who's in this choir and what it was like to be collaborating with this like absolutely powerful community on this album?
Yeah. I guess I really wanted, I mean, always the way that I work is community at the forefront, and everybody that's a part of this album is like the family, the community right around me, or it's like, who do you know, and it's through somebody's recommendation, and really wanting to like ensure that all those cross collaborations are people that we're uplifting right next to us. So it was really special to kind of be like, okay, River Skies, which is the opening track of this album, I imagined it being, yeah, this big 14-piece choir, and it's this drone, and it's kind of like this big moment of arrival, and you're like, okay, welcome to the album. And so, yeah, with Mick Power, who's my close collaborator and partner, we kind of arranged it, and then eventually was like, okay, well, let's just do it ourselves. We were in our room, like, recording all these different tracks and different lines, and just collected all my beautiful people around me. Was like, hey, do you want to have a day together and jump in the studio and have a sing? So I've got my incredible sister idol Emma Donovan in the choir, Natita from Don't Thank Me Spank Me, there's Emma Vollard and Isadora, who are my BBs in the band. There's so many amazing people in this choir, like my siblings are singing in it as well. Isabel Caldwell, there's heaps. I mean, yeah, I could list on and on, but ultimately it was also just special to provide a space for everybody to have a sing together. Like, how often do you do that, and how joyful that is, to share a moment like that. Like, we got our friend to bring in the mini sandwiches catering, and like, just bliss out and share that space together. So yeah, it's documented forever on this album, but also just by bringing our community together into our projects, you just all get to have these amazing experiences.
Mm. Yeah, I absolutely feel like that's something that kind of feels like sometimes distanced from music. Like music at its core, live music, recorded music, always fosters such a community. And in
Mm,
like you mentioned before, like pumping out content in this world where there's so much demand for an artist to be an image above being like a genuine person, you sort of lose this like aspect of connection. So to be able to like, bring everyone into the room together, all have a sing and have that like you've got that memory forever now. It's on the record, on like the physical record. It's just such a special thing to see, especially in this like algorithmic age. And also
yeah.
like the whole narrative of like Australia's tall poppy syndrome, where it's just like artists are not friends, they're all enemies, they're competition. It's like we're actually like you're
It's just
fostering
not
something.
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like
I just wanted to challenge that with all of this
yeah.
album. I wanted to challenge like you know, everyone that you might need, they're all around you. Like, if we're going to be funding people, let's put invest it back in our community. If you're going to collaborate with friends who also deserve to be amplified. Let's listen to long songs. Like, what's with this 3 minute 30 bullshit? Like, let's deep dive into these stories. I wanted to kind of challenge all of it and like bring it back to ourselves and be like it's okay to just like sit and listen, sink right into something. Your friends are all amazing all around you. Like, yes, it's amazing to outsource and work with new people and share skills, but it's also just amazing to share experiences like this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're surrounding yourselves with these people for a reason. Like
Yeah.
if you're given a platform, the best thing to do is share it with the people around you who also deserve that spotlight. Oh, it's such a special thing. Thank you so much for like deconstructing this narrative through your work.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's powerful. It's empowering. I feel like that's where the power is in our hands to be able to like, we have a say with who we work with.
Mm.
I've always loved like I'm self-managed and everything, and I've always loved to like make sure that my team and the people around me are supported and like I feel like it starts with us. Like if we're not working the way that we want to see the industry change or shift, then how is it going to if it doesn't start with us? So as much as it's like hard to like do it all off your own back, it's like,
Mm.
well, if it's gonna start with me, then I better like get to work.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. And I'd love to now flip over to the audience and ask, what are you hoping people are going to take from this album, from when they press play on that first track, listen all the way through to the end? What are you hoping will be the standout that people take away from them? Or what would you like people to take away?
um it's a great question. I guess I really want the experience of the listener to be something where they can like sit down and press play and listen to it front to back. I really thought about, I guess, the way that I narrated this album, but also wrapped up the listener to go on this listener journey because I guess I'm talking about a lot of strong feelings or feelings that I find hard to talk about. So I write it in my music as a way of healing, and I guess I just want us to all, yeah, have this listener journey, but also maybe inspire you to like dig deeper into your connection or take space for yourself and your own journey and discovery.
Yeah, okay, I love that. And then I would also love to ask, this is one of my favorite things because as soon as someone tells me this answer, I go do it and I go put it into practice. I'd love to know what you would say is the ideal listening experience for this full album. Is it is it like, like sitting out in the afternoon sun? Is it with friends? Is there like time of day, an experience, a location? Where is the ideal bumpy listening experience?
That's a great question. I do love a morning rise when you're like, you've got time in your morning, maybe you've got your cup of tea and you just like need a bit of slowness and stillness. I think important that you have good speakers or like really good headphones because I work with Nick Herrera, who's an incredible, he co-produced and mixed and mastered, and he's just like amazing to work with, and just the quality of the sound that came out is so beautiful, and the mix that he did really brings the story to life. So somewhere where you can like find slowness or stillness, I think any beyond that anything is great, but I would just really love it to be a moment of pause, to sink right in and listen to the story. Ultimately it's a big story.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also something that's so significant is sitting with music when you're listening to it, like actually absorbing what you're hearing. Because so many people are like, oh yeah, like I've listened to this album, like, I had it in the background while I was going for a run, or I had it playing while I was working on this. And I'm just like, so you didn't listen to it then? Like you
Yeah,
heard it, you
active
didn't
listening,
listen.
people. Active listening is so important. I'm like, how many albums have been years in the making? Like,
Mm,
5 years. You can give this person half an hour. You can give this person 40 minutes.
mm,
I think it's so important, and yeah, just like engaging with their stories and engaging with the music. So, I mean, I love to ensure that I'm listening to albums front to back. I hope that
yeah,
never goes away, like it's so important, and there's so many decisions that artists have made to bring a whole body of work together.
yeah.
So I'm always championing like that album listen.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm like such a big fan of CDs for doing that. Like no one's shuffle playing a CD. And if you are shuffle playing a CD, you're like an absolute insane person. But like, just like actually sitting down and like hearing like the physical piece of music will take you on that journey yourself. You don't need the algorithm to decide how you're going to listen to it. The artist has put in that work for you. You get to sit down and absorb it. And then I love listening, like when you get to listen to them on a playlist, you're like, wait, this song has to be followed by the
Yeah,
next
yeah.
song on the CD. It's like I can't listen to something else afterwards. It's an actual like full journey.
That's right. It's already curated for you, and yeah, honestly, I pieced this album together, going there's two songs called "Lessons" and "Essence" on this album, and they're
Mm,
literally like they're mantras that an auntie actually said to me. That lyric, like "Time is of the essence, time to learn your lessons,"
mm,
but they actually function as a bit of a buffer for the movement of listening to this album front to back, to ensure that like there's nothing too jarring, like you don't even notice, we're just like floating through the album. It's already curated, like yeah, I'm so anti playlist, I'm so anti algorithm, like nah, it's all in like community radio, it's all in the tastemakers. There's so much time and effort that goes into those decisions for you to have like the listener experience that the artist has intended.
well, absolutely. And off of the back of that, then, I would love to ask, how can we, as listeners of this album, as people who are just coming across you for the first time, as longtime fans, how can we all best support you?
Ooh, well, you can come to a show, you can buy the record, you can buy the merch. I actually did a deadly collab with my sis Tani, who has a label called Gammon Threads, an incredible First Nations owned label, and she designed this merch for me for this run of the album. So that's available, but getting to the shows, buying the merch, buying the records, is the biggest way to support artists, especially in this time. It's not on Spotify, it's not on streaming places. It's like showing up and being in the crowds. So yeah, if you want to come see me this summer, I'll be
Yeah,
around.
absolutely. And can you tell us, if you're allowed to share, what's in the plans? Where can we catch you this summer?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm like, what's been announced? Streaming Fields has been announced. I'll be at Hopkins Creek. Um, oh my gosh, I'm like off the back of my mind, I don't know which ones I kind of can't say, but there'll be like shows in Nam. Yeah, definitely check it out and stay tuned. There'll be announcements all through the way. I'll be in Castlemaine as well. Yeah.
Okay, so stay tuned to the socials. Turn on those little notifications so you don't miss it.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean, I've
keen.
got lists and lists for a reason, but it'll be all over the socials.
Absolutely. Okay. And I'd love to close off our lovely chat today by asking my favorite question. I asked this question to a band called Charlie Needs Braces a couple weeks ago at Big Sound, and you were one of their answers to this question, which was super exciting. So I would love to know who's on the Bumpy playlist, which artists in your like local music community or the broader scene across the country have you been listening to, loving, and would love to give a shout out to and the official like Bumpy seal of approval to?
Oh, oh my God, I love this question. Okay. Um, I adore the tone honey butter voice of Wild Gloriosa. It's an amazing EP. And Kian, who I shouted out before, also has an EP coming out really soon. Incredible old school soul, big powerhouse vocalist and performer. Mini Waters just released their debut album, and it's an incredible album, and they're currently on tour. They just did the local show in Nam, and the live show was amazing. I also love the music of Imi Owusu, who is an incredible artist and performer. Yeah, there's so many. That's a good start. I mean, I should make a playlist of all my. Like, I mean, I do every Sunday on Triple R. That's how much I love to ship the local music. But there's so much. There's so much good soul food out there for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing those picks. My this is honestly one of my favorite things because this is how I like discover the best new music is through these shout outs. Because yeah, it's better than all that like algorithmic stuff. You're going directly to people who know what they're talking about. As you said, turn on community radio, listen to the recommendations of the people in your circles. I'm so excited to get around all of those acts. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to say again, like, thank you so much for sharing your music with us through these singles, through this album, throughout your career. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and your music because it is so good. I'm like loving it so much.
Thanks, Charlie. I mean, I feel like it's really special to share from a place of vulnerability, especially right now, like to remind everyone that, like, that's how we connect in its purest form. So it feels really special to like try and be all healing together in music.